We are often told that liberals, you can't get things done. You guys are not pragmatic. You're not you don't know how politics works. No. And de Blasio, the new mayor of New York, super lib. First of all, he couldn't win the election. I remember when I said he would win the New York election, he was still running in a primary. He was a distant third. And I said he would win the election based on how he was running it. Why? He was running it as an actual liberal. You know what the final vote was? Of course, he clearly won in the Democratic primary. In the final vote, he got over 70% in New York. But the mainstream press told me he couldn't win. So I must have gotten that wrong. Silly me. Now they tell us, well, you can't get anything done now that you did win. Anybody who thought that was foolish. In fact, we read an article just like that, a quote from an article earlier in the week saying, smart people in the know knew that de Blasio couldn't actually get any of his policies accomplished. Now, they think it's because when you get into power, we're going to crush you with money anyway. For example, when Bill de Blasio went to raise taxes on the rich in New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo came in and said, no, you can't, because he gets his financing from billionaires who are Wall Street investors. In fact, because of that, one of the most right-wing guys in the country, Ken Langone, former founder of Home Depot, now a billionaire investor from Wall Street, started a group called Republicans for Cuomo. Okay, so we know where Cuomo stands. So everyone went along saying, okay, well, de Blasio's done. Okay, we dispense with him. But wait a minute, look at what I read in the New York Times here. It turns out that he got the city council to enact a bill to expand the ability of workers taking paid days off when they or their family members fall ill. Wait a minute, that was a campaign promise, and we were told by all those smart people that he couldn't do that. I mean, if you're sick, you gotta go to work, you understand that? No, you get no time off. You're not gonna be able to pass it. Well, look at that. Seems to have passed it fairly easily, actually. And by the way, when Cuomo said that he couldn't tax the rich, what de Blasio wanted to spend the money on was to make sure that more kids got education in preschool, kindergarten, etc. And Cuomo gave him the money for that education anyway. So what happened? I thought he couldn't get that money. Interesting. It's amazing what happens when you try. Point number 3, he moved to aggressively settle a long-standing lawsuit over racial inequalities, I should say, in the fire and police departments that Bloomberg had fought thoroughly. So Bloomberg was like, racial inequities, there's no such thing, get out of here. Well, I mean, look, if your mayor comes in, new mayor, even if he's a liberal, he's not going to win on that issue because the fire department and the police department are not going to back him. Oh, look at that, they're going to settle the case, it's over. Oh, amazing. Now, here's one thing I know. There's this new huge project in New York, and they're building out the Hudson Yards, and that's a big corporation. And he wanted a couple of different things from the Hudson Yards, which were very important, like getting their workers paid more and getting more moderate housing. Okay, let's quote the New York Times. The mayor's team began talks in the past few days with Related, one of the city's most politically powerful developers, about including more affordable apartments at its giant Hudson Yards project on the far west side, which is receiving major tax breaks. Oh, that's interesting. They're getting major tax breaks from the city government of New York. Okay, maybe that's leverage you could use against them. Let's see how it turned out. It's highly unusual to renegotiate a development project already approved by the city, and it was virtually unthinkable in the Bloomberg era, but officials at Related, who are embarking on a long-term relationship with the new mayor, agreed to increase the number of affordable units. Wow. Imagine if our representatives actually represented us, what they could get done. But we're not done yet. Even more strikingly, the developer agreed to give up a long-fought-for exemption from paying higher wages to some building workers at Hudson Yards. What happened? I thought you could never get these major developers to pay decent wages to their workers. Unless, of course, you actually tried a little bit. Isn't that amazing? It turns out they love those tax exemptions. Turns out that's worth a ton of money to them. And it turns out they would actually give some of it back to the workers and to the city if you just asked them. Of course, with the proper amount of pressure. Can liberals get things done? Of course they can. Whole idea that we can't ever ask corporations for anything. All we have to do is give away tax subsidies and get nothing in return is a right-wing myth. That myth was funded by those same corporations. Don't believe the hype. There's literally a new mayor in town.